If black Americans had been paid equally, on average, to white people were not paid equally, but had black Americans been paid what they were worth, $20 trillion, what would those numbers be? Bro, I'm going to ask you, since you have black in your family. Some black people are lazy, right?
I mean, everyone's lazy.
Some black people are stupid, right?
Yes.
Some black people are really dumb with how they handle their money, right?
Yes.
Some black people make really stupid decisions in life. Am I correct?
You are.
So, in that sense, black people are just like everybody else. And maybe black people make, on average, some dumber decisions than other people. Who knows? I don't know. Let's just add it up. But here's the thing. The differences in black behavior amount to $20 trillion. You can tell me it doesn't amount to that. There's no way. Like if we say, hey, listen, black people, forget about everything that was denied to you. All the wages, all the land, all the money that was just stripped away, one thing after another. Forget about all that for a second. If you just would have worked a little harder, we wouldn't see that kind of inequality. When I look at that, I can't look at those numbers and not think about discrimination. $20 trillion is discrimination. You know what I mean? That's what that is. I'm not a radical leftist, apologist, woke sociologist trying to make excuses for black people. But in fairness, that's a lot of money, man. Everybody else, that $20 trillion, that went into people that look like me. You could call this some kind of affirmative action for my people. Because we didn't give it to them, we took it from them, just like we took the land from Native Americans. Half of all black Americans are middle class. Don't think black and think poor. You have your wealthy black Americans and poor black Americans. So don't just assume think black and think poor.
Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. Little quick message for the family on this Sunday. I'm going to check my levels real quick because very rarely we get the proverbial. I can't hear you good. Speak up. Something wrong with your system? All right. And things of that nature. So today, I want to reference A Course in Miracles, A Foundation for Inner Peace. This is lesson 239. And this is for people who want to understand how to get out of loops, how to get out of vortexes, and how to shift your energy by understanding metaphysical concepts pertaining to God, pertaining to Kabbalah, Gnosticism, things of that nature. So, first things first, let's bring up the verse. And I said 293, but in actuality, it's lesson 292. And the title of the lesson is A Happy Outcome to All Things is Sure. I'm going to just read through it in its entirety and then in the subsequent slides break down the different parts of it from a metaphysical perspective. The purpose of this video is to assist you in understanding how to utilize metaphysical principles in your life to whereas if you want to work, you can curate a perfect job. If you don't want to work, if you want to curate a perfect relationship, whatever it is that you're trying to curate and alter in your life, with certain limitations, of course. But we're understanding the divine mind outside of just the regular human consciousness. So, and the reason why we talk about this at a repetitious level, because the spiritual foundations are the things that people most likely forget and do not, utilize with a particular level of consistency. And therefore, many people misinterpret, mishandle, or outright don't utilize any type of metaphysical principles in their daily life because they're so caught up in the external. They're so caught up in the human. To whereas in previous videos we discussed, how the spiritual community oversimplifies these things, which leads to a distortion. And then you're trying to practice a distortion. You're eventually going to get exhausted and be like, man, this spiritual shit is nothing real about it, right? And then people just turn all right atheists and just try to make it into whereas they just trying to make enough money to just get out of negative situations. But ultimately, we all going to come to a point of how to utilize metaphysical principles in our own lives, because the person that works so hard to get the money is also going to be the person that don't know how to show up in their relationships, or the person that dedicate all his time and energy to his relationships. He don't know how to show up to the money. So we see this in all of our lives, an imbalanced point of view. And I think that the main ways that this imbalance shows up is through not having a sincere relationship or understanding or the wisdom to apply God in our everyday life. So when I get the time, I try to look at these A Course in Miracles and break them down and provide some form of gnosis to the collective. Because even though these are available on the internet, there isn't a lot of commentary, there isn't a lot of ways of explaining it. So I just take it upon myself to do that work. And I've always created content in reference to things that I'm just naturally curious about. So when they come up with this stuff, it's like, all right, what do you mean by it? So I had to really sit with it, research it, understand it, and then from there, do a video to help me even understand it somewhat further. So let's get into it. God's promises make no exceptions, and He guarantees that only joy can be the final outcome found for everything. Yet, it is up to us when this is reached. How long will we let an alien will appear to be opposing His? And while we think this will is real, we will not find the end He has appointed as the outcome of problems we perceive. All trials we see, in every situation that we meet, yet is the ending certain. For God's will is done in earth and heaven. We will seek and we will find according to His will, which guarantees that our will is done. So we thank you, Father, for your guarantee of only happy outcomes in the end. Help us not interfere and so delay the happy endings you have promised us for every problem that we can perceive, for every trial we think we must meet. So once again, this video is for people who feel like they're on some form of a cycle or a loop and they're just trying to get out of it. Wherever you find this cycle or loop at, whether it's in your job, your relationships, your relationship with your family, just your day to day, your social, what you want out of life is not coming to pass. This video is for you. And so the first, I guess the first thing that we gotta like break down and understand is the calculation of God from a Gnostic Kabbalistic sense. Whereas Christianity, Judeo, uh, I guess Judeo Christian, Jewish, religious centered people come to the conclusion that God is a man and it's just very ultra masculine type of energy that represents God. And the deeper that you understand the reason for that is through the, you know, aborted fetus known as Yaldabaoth, who rules the material world through archons and the perversion of the Knights Templars is a lot of it just being grossly male. And so you inundate the religion and the politics in the world with this male only ideology. God is only a male, turns into the He Man Woman Haters Club. And therefore, that is the root perspective of a monotheistic God, is this weirdly insane human well, I guess it creates insane human beings because there is no balance of the feminine principle within your definition of God. So, from a Gnostic Kabbalistic sense, God is knowledge, which is the Son. We birth knowledge through wisdom and understanding, which is the feminine and masculine principle, or mother, woman, and child. Throughout your relationship, you can see God working in your life in a daily, everyday basis. But if we're to be taught in the modern world, the things we seen on movies, the things that we hear on songs, uh, of this gross sexual culture, single culture, you don't need no man. You can just have sex with these women, and a bunch of people just kind of doing their own thing. That is a result of God, a masculine God. The basic understanding is man, woman, and child. It is the understanding or the synthesis or the harmonization process. To whereas people will come to the conclusion like, well, my mom and dad wasn't together, or they're not together, they got a divorce, or it was a one night stand, or whatever the case may be. Because God is real and God exists within an equilibrium, it manifests the same, even if your parents hated each other or hate each other, whatever, whatever the circumstances are in reference to the alien or the foreigner, because you can be a foreigner in your own house, whereas you don't even understand your root framework for life. To whereas this Yaldabaoth God, or Yahweh, will have you focusing on money, focusing on a job, focusing on the wrong person, and and nobody is there to like comfort you because you feel like you've been doing the right thing. So people like in the modern world, they'll like cancel the concept of like gender roles. But in this particular context, the gender role would be wisdom and understanding the difference between the two, where wisdom is aligned with chokma, and chokma is a masculine energy. However, to understand chokma, you understand chokma through the masculine. And Carl Jung talked about this exact paradigm where within every man is a goddess, which is wisdom. And that is our gender role. Within every woman is Bana, understanding. To synthesize all of these particular things, and when we are getting into our relationships, there ain't no way in hell that you allowing your partner to get in touch with his divine feminine. There ain't no way in hell you allowing your partner to get in touch with her divine masculine because we don't understand the concepts. It's like, well, I don't want my husband to be gay and I don't want my girlfriend to cheat on me. But we're talking about metaphysically understanding yourself to be whole. Because when you understand yourself to be whole, the result is ideas, inventions, connections, miracles, because you see God in everything you do. In this world right now, the closer you get to understanding this energy within yourself, the easier your results will be. So the knowledge comes from an internal process. And one will say, well, why can't I just read it in a book? Why can't I just go to college? And I would have to ask you, before these things existed, how were people able to maintain and grow and sustain? To whereas we are able to talk about these particular principles because they work, because they're true, and because they're valid if only you utilize them. So within every woman is a divine masculine, which should be your ultimate goal to get in tune with because that is going to be your activation. Within every man is a divine feminine, which you can get in tune with at any time you decide to get in tune with her. However, if you prioritizing your baby mom, your wife, your daughters, in the ways for which you are pandering or enabling or allowing or even angry because you've created the circumstances for negative situations to take place because you weren't in tune with your divine feminine. You had no boundaries, no barriers. You didn't know what to accept, what to say no to, what to say yes to. You were at the whim. You are wrapped around her pinky because you don't even know what beauty feels like. You don't even know what love feels like because you're trying to experience it from her. To which that's not the process of wisdom. That's the process of crash out. Y'all heard about the sugar daddy that went crazy after the girl didn't leave her husband? Now dude got to spend the rest of his life in jail plus soul internal damnation, all because you weren't able to tap into the divine feminine within yourself. You trying to find it into younger girls. You trying to find it into frivolous sexual escapades, paying prostitutes, getting on the corn sites, going into relationships to relationships, baby mamas, and none of this is wisdom. Obviously, how could it be wisdom and you knee deep in child support court? How could it be wisdom if they taking half of your check out? You working 40 hours, getting paid for 20 hours. How could that be wisdom? To which you're always going to reflect on wisdom like, damn, it'd have been better if I never even have met this person. My life would have been 100% better. And whose fault is it? So another concept we're talking about is radical accountability from your parents, from your baby mom, from your wife, from here to infinity. You have to be 100% accountable. Can't say my girlfriend pissed me off. That's not wisdom. That's logical conclusions, surface logic. That is the lack of conflict resolution within yourself, and it's cutting you off from God. What is God? God is a calculation. So if you have to understand the calculation, the surface is not going to cut it. Anybody that's able to calculate something is going to be far more superior than somebody just observing it. So if you're going to understand God within yourself, you're going to be able to have to sit and do the calculations, going to have to come to the meditation table and come to an overall understanding. And it's a cyclical process that creates knowledge. Knowledge comes from within yourself. It's called gnosis. And it's this constant calculation, it's this constant reflection, it's this constant wellspring of love that you discover and you factor in within yourself. So a man must be in love with himself. A man must factor in everybody turning. The problem you are going to come into contact with is that people not going to love you to the same degree as you love them. So therefore, you have to develop a mode of forgiveness, acceptance, and self-love, which are feminine qualities, but this is how you activate. This is how you become unstoppable because you don't need the things for which you've already supplied with. You're not operating in sin, which is greed, quite naturally. You operating in neglect, to which yo container is so large, people wouldn't be able to fill it even if they tried. So the means of metaphysical activation is within understanding who you are at a spiritual level. So where it's going to get tricky in these spiritual spaces is the divine feminine is going to show up as a woman, which it makes sense on the surface. It makes sense under when she take her panties off. But when the things don't add up, when the shit don't pan out the way you want it to pan out, where the anger becomes a reason for the season, the mistakes, the fucked up situations, not being able to get things accomplished, the ways to not be able to show up in a world that's giving you every ample opportunity to show up in. You can't grasp it. And you also can't understand why, damn, why is everybody trying to get male attention on the lowest of keys? Why is she not happy until she's in a relationship? Or why is that a celebration? I got 15 degrees. Ain't nobody ever decided to throw me a graduation party. But such and such have a baby. They throwing her a baby shower. She got 5 kids, 5 different baby daddies, 5 different baby showers. You got a PhD in social science with a major in uplifting the black community. Niggas didn't even give you a round of applause. You're gonna have to start asking yourself these types of questions in reference to the world that people is telling you about versus the biological world that don't give a fuck about what people is telling you about. A lot of your logical understandings came to you when you was the most impressionable, 18, because they say your prefrontal cortex don't even finish development until you turn 25. So a lot of people get groomed and molded into being something other than what they were led to be. So your biological influence, you're always going to override it. And even if you fall victim to your biological influence, if you don't have the discipline of connecting to your divine masculine without losing your inherent feminine, it just seems out of balance. And ultimately, what we'll be talking about is whatever decision you make, whatever circumstance you find yourself in, the reason that we want to understand and overstand Gnostic Kabbalistic principles is because it will always bring you back to an equilibrium, and you can always take control of your life through a mode of meditation, understanding, wisdom, and knowledge. Because it's an oversimplification of God. because we can talk about God all day long, and then we'll be like, well, then why God bless him more than he bless me? Why I don't got the things that I want? I believe in God, but have you done the calculations within yourself? Have you fully understood what the God within? So, just to summarize, the Godhead or the understanding of God from a Gnostic Kabbalistic sense, a metaphysical sense, is the combination or the calculation, which is found through meditation, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And so there is a certain level of how does a happy outcome to all, why is it the fact that you can guarantee that things are going to happen in your favor? Well, this is where you get into like mental health and mental illness, because you can be around people that don't believe that good things is about to happen. And in those particular instances, you better hope that they stop calling you, because you too nice to cut a motherfucker off. But at the end of the day, we're talking about something very specific that's running rampant in our community and in our lives. And it's neuroticism. Neuroticism is a personality trait characterized by a tendency to experience negative emotions such as anxiety, depression, worry, and moodiness. It's like you play Bob Marley, everything's going to be all right. And them niggas say, man, cut that bullshit off. Don't nobody want to hear that shit. If a nigga say that, you got to understand. You got to have discernment. Like it's a demon amongst you. Acting upon or stimulating the nerves. So, what is another way of saying neurotic in a metaphysical aspect? Since it's always stimulating and acting upon the nerves, it's meaning that you always in earth. You always thinking physical. You always thinking about money and buying shit or having shit or what happened yesterday or what happened a year ago. Everything that you think about and act upon is related to earth consciousness. So neurotic isn't like a mental illness in reference to like a little small percentage of the population. It's basically everybody that you know is a neurotic person, because everybody is in tune what's going on in the earth. Because when we start talking about God, we start talking about spirits, when we start talking about other dimensions, now we all weird. Now we all strange. Now it's like all hood. I don't know about that. So in the presence of God, which is knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and then we're going to understand the concept of law of cause and effect. Your cause is the divine mind. Your cause is God. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Not a dude with a beard in the sky pointing down saying you're bad and you're good. That's a surface level understanding of God. It is not a calculation. It's not a contemplation. It doesn't require any meditation. It doesn't require separating from this earth at all to imagine God to be some entity up in the sky. The reason that if you had a calculator and you had to come up with a calculation, you didn't put in any inputs, you would have never found that formula. Don't mean that the formula don't exist. It means that if you haven't found God within yourself, you can be an atheist. I respect atheists. I'm not going to argue with the atheist. Because if it required us to mix up some butter, some flour, and some sugar to come up with a cake, and you never did it, you never wanted to do it because you felt like the cake should have just been already made. But then we wouldn't even be able to be talking on our computers and our phones if that was the case. We utilize complex systems every single day. Even the most primitive tribes create and combine and do alchemy because it requires a calculation for us to understand God. There are some natural things that exist. Whoop-de-doo. So once again, in the law of cause and effect, what is the cause? If you think the cause is what you specifically want, then the effect will be you not getting it. Because now we got to go to etymology. This is something that people is going to do even if they're an advanced mystic yogi. If you are a Buddha, if you don't practice every spiritual system known to man, you will still fall victim with the ultimate metaphysical sin. Want. I want a man. I want more money. I want a job. I wanna be free. I want a different president. I want a girlfriend. I want. If this is some energy within your being, you're going to create exactly what you want. What does want mean? To be lacking, to be deficient in something, to lack, to want, to leave, to abandon. You're going to always, and if you ever seen somebody want something ever since you was a child, you ever observe your parents want something, you're going to also observe them never actually having it. Why? Even when they get it, they only have it for a long time. Then they lose it. And guess what? They want it again. Am I making sense? So when we talk about the law of cause and effect, and the first thing you think about is what you want. I want a house. I want some money. You're already putting into the universe that you want to be lacking in money. You want to be lacking in a house. So therefore, your cause is something that you're going to lack, and your effect is going to be something that you lack. And trust me, there is not a yogi. There is not a mystic. There's not a priest, reverend, high priestess that does not suffer from the disease of want. It's just something that we go through as human beings, which ultimately is going to bring us to this point. You've been wanting something and not getting it, and you trying to figure out how to get it because you might need it. You might need it bad. So how do you get it? Utilizing the law of cause and effect. The cause is God or source, the ultimate cause, the pure, unopposed good within yourself. Its fundamental nature is love, unconditional, persistent, ever flowing love, which is ultimately the love of self. Because who is your biggest critic? Your biggest critic, your biggest hater is always yourself, because you see yourself do all of the foul shit that you do, all of the negative things you've ever done. You have always lived with yourself. So if you hate yourself, you don't like yourself, you look in the mirror, you don't look at yourself and see love, that is the cause. But from a metaphysical perspective, we're going to assume that the cause is God, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, our ability to meditate on our divine mind. If we assume that that is the cause, that if we're assuming that God is within us, we're also assuming that the effect is going to be God. So where you might see somebody not worrying, you might see somebody with a positive outlook, they're just practicing and being the cause. Because the moment you start worrying, the moment you start panicking, the moment you start thinking negative, you are creating that particular effect. And the problem with this is that we'll bear witness that a situation will become worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. The ghetto is going to be the ghetto is going to be a bunch of weird shit happen in the ghetto you wouldn't even believe. Because God is real and God is within yourself. And if you ever been a part of some hood shit, you know motherfuckers will think negative forever. They won't never stop thinking negative. So whereas if you from the hood, you be like, damn, I gotta get out of here because of these mentalities. Because right now we can't save nobody. We can only save ourselves. And what is the way for which we going to save ourselves? Through understanding our divine principles within ourselves. Within you is an unlimited source of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It just takes a little bit of reflection. In the time you begin to trust the outcome, not because of who you are, but because of who God is. Y'all seen the meme where it say, you know, God, I seen you work miracles in other people's lives. Why don't you do the same thing for me? So no matter what you're going through, no matter what that says chose, but it's supposed to say chaos. In the midst of chaos, everything is always going to come back into balance. No matter how crazy the party was on Saturday night, you pull up to the club now, it's all quiet and all peaceful. You wouldn't even think motherfuckers was twerking on a handstand about 6 hours ago. Goddamn Gucci Mane played at the highest levels, bass rumping, people yelling, drinking, fighting. Sunday morning, it's a goddamn oasis. It's literally called Club Oasis. Everybody done went to a Club Oasis at least once in their life. And we can see this pattern happen every Saturday night, especially if you down south in a black neighborhood. Any black neighborhoods, the thing about niggas is that they love going out. And the thing about going out, you wouldn't even know that the shit is even happening because people like me, our ass is in the bed sleep. Your ass is shaking ass on top of cars and shit. I'm snoring. Knock the hell out. Because I already understand and overstand. Why would I go outside of balance? That's always, you ain't never pulled up to the club at 5 o'clock and they doing the same shit they was doing at 12 o'clock. They got to go home and go to sleep. They tired. They at the Waffle House. Talking about last night. So you'll start to, the older you get or the more wiser you get, you'll do less and less shit that disturbs the natural balance, because you'll start to fall in love with the consistency of what? The consistency of God. The thing about God is that it's always going to show up and it's always going to come through, but it's always going to be us that play interference to God's love. And the quicker you understand that, the easier you'll get into the process of cause and effect. You're always going to be in your way through your neuroticism. Well, I haven't been clinically diagnosed with neuroticism. We're looking at it from a metaphysical point of view. Neuroticism is the focus in the nerves. The nerves is just everyday life. It's called neurasthenia. And if this was 1924, you'd have been diagnosed with neurasthenia, nervous exhaustion. But understand, they everybody got it, so they were just like, fuck it. It's like allergies at this point. You have no way of going back to retrieving yourself from the world. The world just got you. You just paying attention to what's going on in the world, social media, television, friends, family, job. When do you ever have a time to deal with God? So outside of the law of cause and effect is the nerves or the nervous system. Eventually, we all return to peace. We all return to what? The etymology of equilibrium. Very interesting etymology. The state of mental balance. The state of mental balance. And it's very simple shit. What are we talking about? We're talking about simple shit as like being at peace, letting shit go, being in the moment, taking a deep breath, going out into nature. It's never niggas when I go out into nature. Never. It's never nobody. Just me and a few white people, a couple Asians, a couple Indian people. Never see Chaldeans when you're out in nature. Just I'm the only nigga in the canoe. It's me and is two other niggas in the whole boat ride. And when you get into the main road and the main street, it's thousands of cars going up and down, going to work, getting off work, going to kick it with your friends. I've never figured out where all these niggas is going in Detroit. It's one of the most peculiarest things. When I figure out where you niggas is going in Detroit, I'm gonna be like, this is, it all makes sense now. Because you will watch documentaries and they say Detroit is one of the everybody left Detroit when the factories left. Shit. Niggas is up in this motherfucker. And all I'm saying is the last thing you want to do is get into an argument with your neighbor around this motherfucker. I'm just keeping it because listen, you're gonna quickly realize motherfuckers is not at peace. Niggas do not have a balanced mental state for whatever reason. I can only imagine you dealing with trauma, you dealing with all types of things, or the lack of knowledge to even bring you to a state of gnosis at all. And you got countless examples of a bunch of people telling you what to do, but not bringing you into a space where you can figure out what you need to do, to whereas your soul is telling you what you need to do. I ain't telling you what to do or what not to do other than connect with your soul and be guided by your soul. I mean, I can give you some suggestions. And if you follow my suggestion with all of your whole heart and it don't work out, who you gonna be mad at? You gonna be mad at me? Huh? Why you even tell me to do that? I mean, I suggested OnlyFans and now you got a sugar daddy, he won't leave you alone. Shouldn't have listened to me. Right? I suggested Backpage, I suggested Craigslist. You ain't do none of that. You went straight to OnlyFans. Should have went to Craigslist. I still make a killing. You know what I'm saying? $59.99. I do my Friday specials, weekends only. Very successful business model. But once again, just because I'm on Craigslist doing $59.99 specials, don't mean it's going to work for you. So the law of the law of cause and effect is that this understanding reveals that even painful experiences are part of a larger self-correcting mechanism designed to show you the knowledge and wisdom and understanding overall God through your circumstances. Meaning that you can follow what a nigga is talking about all day long. You're eventually gonna bring your ass back to yourself. Cause guess what? Everywhere you go, there you are. And if you're unable to meditate, if you're unable to get in tune with yourself, then you ain't gonna be making decisions for yourself. And you're gonna be like, well, this one girl on Instagram said that if I put baby oil on my ass, Oshun is gonna bless me. So I mixed the baby oil with the honey because I heard Brother Panic said you got to do your own ritual. So I mix baby oil and honey and I rub it on my ass and I give offerings to Oshun like that. Listen, Frank, if that's how you want to do it, I'm not about to sit here and argue with you. But if your soul is telling you to do it, then do it. Well, no, my soul didn't tell me to do that. Brother Panic said it, and this one girl on Instagram said it, and I just combined it. See, when was the last time you meditate? See, I got a hard time meditating, hood. That's my problem. Like, that's the one thing that I just have trouble with in my spiritual journey. Like, I just don't like meditating. I don't do it really. Yeah, meditation is hard. So I just listen to everybody and try to do what everybody say do. So I listen to you, I listen to Panic. Yeah, man. Yeah, so they just told me that I need to take this AI spirituality course for $80. So I took it, you know. It haven't really taught me nothing, but I just like supporting black businesses. You feel me? All right. All right, Frank. Good luck with your baby oil and honey rituals to Oshun, my boy. But once again, if you don't cultivate God within yourself, you're not even going to believe in God at all. Eventually, you're going to have to get broken down. Because nothing, you love your husband so much. You found the perfect man. He does everything for you. For some reason, God telling you to look into this man's phone. And then for some reason, God saying, look in the notes app. And for some reason, you find a secret portal to where his real apps is, and now he got a Grinder account. Your perfect man is on Grinder. Now what you gonna do? You gotta, of course, file for a divorce, and you know he wasn't the perfect man. You cry. Why could you do this to me? He was the one on Grinder. He ain't did nothing to you. He just living his life. Girls be like, "Oh, you broke my heart. It's all your fault." But once again, if you're not developing a relationship with God within yourself, you're putting too much pressure on your partner to live up to God. So your standards for your husband is not true standards for a human man. It's the standards of a demigod. And of course, he's not going to live up to a demigod, and you got every excuse to be mad. And then you're going to forget this major lesson that the happy outcome is to all things is sure, which starts now. Obviously, can't be about the past, because in the past you was crying, throwing glass, breaking glass, screaming, cussing, saying how much he ain't shit nigga, and all of these particular things. So we talking about now and into the future. And we're understanding certain principles such as forgiveness, such as, deep love, deep understanding. The second part of this, which I just want to highlight, and then I'm going to try to break it down as much as I can. Yet it is up to us when this is reached, this happiness point. How long will we let an alien will appear to be opposing God's? And while we think that this will is real, we will not find the end, which has appointed as the outcome of all problems we perceive, all trials we see in every situation that we meet. Yet is the ending certain, for God's will is done in earth and in heaven. And I think that trips people up, because people then say, well, heaven must be something that happens when you die. And nothing about heaven within the Bible or nothing is speaking about heaven being a place that you go when you die. Heaven is right now, and it's a particular mindset. So one of my favorite verses is that Luke 17:21, which says that the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of God is within you. I mention this verse a lot. Luke chapter 17, verse 21. And the reason that I repeat it, the reason that I talk about it a lot is because this is a particular reality that I live with. When I'm trying to find the kingdom of God, I don't always find it outside of myself. I'm usually finding it within myself in my meditations, in my particular trips. And a lot of times I get deeper into that meditation through the mode of psychedelics. It's easier for me to get into those spaces, to see these particular concepts within myself. And it's like, my kids, I'm not about to just do, everything for them, or I'm not about to do that for anybody. When you create it from this perspective, you really value anything that you're able to manifest because you know that, well, I know that everything I've manifested through the love of God within myself. And it's easy to want to be a certain type of person to other people. However, it's very important that you understand it within yourself that you really are tapped into something to be able to manifest at this level. If you own your own business, you got a career, you making money on your own terms, you construction worker, landscaper, you got two and three and four hustles. However you getting it through the modality of divine consciousness and being the best version of yourself. So if you find yourself in a space where you like, man, I hope that I hope that I can manifest something for myself. I wanna manifest something. I wanna start a new business. I wanna make some money. I wanna get out the hood. I wanna just break out this rut that I'm in financially. Get in tune with God within yourself. Because people is going to tell you get in stocks, forex trade, drop shit. It's a million things people that tried to gas people into, and nothing is wrong with none of that shit. But I will tell you, it's so much easier to navigate what it is you specifically supposed to do when you understand that God is within you. That's the only place you can find God. You're more godly than a church. One's in the chat if you understand that within yourself. You within yourself, your ability to meditate is more in tune with God than the actual Pope, Vatican, the mega churches. God loves you more. Because that's not even of God to exist in those particular spaces and lights. God wants to show up in your life personally right now. But you got to understand heaven is a concept that exists right now within you. It's never going to escape you. It's just our own personal ability to get to just meditate on the particular negative past, present, and futures, whatever you want to call it, right? So I talked about this in the Andromeda video, but it bears repeating how time actually exists. So humans, the nerves, life, we think time has a beginning, middle, and an end, and we have to experience all of these particular points gradually. So I was young back then, and I get old later, and this is how we view time. This is how time is set up. They have the years like the way time is set up. We think it's a fact, right? That is going forward, but we would think differently if they would be like, all right, we this time is a time for reflection, or this is a time of the ancestors, right? This is a time for future intentions. And that's why we study the new moon. I got a new moon video coming for y'all, either Monday or Tuesday. I'm gonna try for Monday. I was working on a new moon video, and Spirit was like, "All right, stop doing that and do this video, and then come back, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna finish the new moon video." When you want God to show up in your life, that's when it will show up. When you believe and know that the kingdom of heaven is within you, that you are the most spiritual being in the whole entire universe, and it's not based upon people who got more money than you, people who got more status than you. When you just simply realize that the kingdom of heaven is within you, and you have to cultivate this relationship through your meditation, through your reflection, through your ability to forgive, through your ability to let go, through your ability to be present, it's going to take some calculation and determination. But the moment you're really ready to understand the power that exists within you and you're ready to unlock it, God is waiting. It wants to. When you put in those calculations in that calculator, it don't wait to show up. It's instantly. It's giving you the answer. Instantly, it's right there. But once again, you literally have to believe. You literally have to feel good that God exists within you. Here goes another etymology lesson: enthusiasm. To be inspired or possessed by a god. Now, that's the etymology. Let's look up the definition real quick. Intense, eager enjoyment, interest, and approval, right? Let's workshop this. Your husband walk in the house. Hey, what up? What's up? What's up? What's up, Jermaine? Oh, how was work today? Yeah, my feet hurt. I don't even. I'm about to go lay down. It's some food in there. The leftovers is in there if you want to just, warm them up or whatever. I'm about to lay down. I don't have to work or nothing. So I was just at home because you pay all of the bills and stuff like that. But I still, was just kind of in my feelings because I really don't know why. I'm just a girl, right? Just a girl. So, yeah. What is that? That's everyday, regular human shit. It's cool to just be regular with your husband. It's cool to just be regular with your wife. But understand God ain't nowhere near in that relationship. Because once again, we talking about the law of cause and effect, where we trying to come to an understanding of what God is and what God's not. And we're just kind of like, yeah, I tried to meditate. It was kind of hard. It was kind of difficult, hood. It's like I couldn't focus. The kids was like running around, and I had to do some other shit. You know what just happened back at the spot, right? So yeah, I'm talking about when that nigga walk in the house, you jumping on him, jumping for joy. Hey, at first my daughter would be like, crying and stuff. When I come in, because my daughter was scared of me at a certain point. And then she has seen my wife just love me up so much. She just she felt like it was normal. And I knew right then and there. It's easy for your kids to hate you when your wife hates you. Hard for your kids to hate you when your wife in love with you. When your wife in love with you and your kids don't. It's like in reference to the love part, which we talking about enthusiasm now. We talking about a positive. We talking about an intense, eager enjoyment. Y'all get with niggas that y'all kind of like. You gotta kind of squint your eyes and hope for the best with these niggas. And you trying to figure out why the relationship don't work. We talking about an intense, eager enjoyment, interest, and approval. Like I approve of this situation. I approve that God is working through my life and through my manifestations. I know it to be so. I know it to be true. All time exists in this moment. What we choose to experience is like watching a movie on a 10-second loop. Ironically, we got TikToks and Reels where our most popular videos is 10-second loops. Not too long ago, our most popular videos was long form movies. So metaphysically, the moment you align with, the moment you align with your divine will, the happy outcome or the happy ending is already present. But in the human experience, it appears to unfold gradually according to how much we resist the truth. So, in essence, when you dealing with delay, this means you following your humanity's logic. Whenever things ain't happening the way that ain't wanted to happen, you is not believing in God. You not trusting in God, and you neurotic. You believe everything the nerves is telling you. In order to get into a space where you're not neurotic, you got to get into your parasympathetic system. Your parasympathetic system is very simple. I say these things a lot because, on the internet, you start seeing people was in the chat, they start using the same words, same verbiage, the same shit that I was talking about years ago. People talking about it like they just now discovered it. And I'm not mad. I'm not even feeling like people watching me or nothing like that. But I'm saying when you know, you know. And when you know, it don't change. People just come to it later than normal. But if I said this shit 9 years ago, if I put out a book called Chakra Nova, giving you the whole process of getting out of your nerves into your spiritual center, if a nigga come to it 10 years from now, it makes what I said 10 years ago more valid. Because it's only going to get to a point where you relax. You either in the fight or flight or you in the rest and digest. And the rest and the digest is how you meditate and get in tune with your God force energy. You can't be so caught up in what's going on in the world, right? Because when you caught up what's going in the world, you're dealing with some form of delay. You following your humanity's logic. In the text is called the alien will. Now, if you want shit to happen fast, you just need to understand what and who you are. Very simply, you are a spiritual being having a human experience. And the quicker you understand that, you will understand that time will collapse. All of the time exists in this moment. Whatever moment you're alive, that's what everything exists at. Now, one will say, what do I need to do? You need to start forgiving. You need to start accepting wherever you at. And also have faith in the God within. If you don't have faith that the kingdom of heaven is within you from a sincere level, nothing what I say is valid and you would be an atheist. There's no way you can believe in God if you don't believe that God exists within yourself. I cannot help you with that. I can only tell you I see the God within you. If you don't see the God within yourself and you feel like if you succeed in this area, if you get some money, if you get a girlfriend, if you get a house, that's going to validate your experience. I hope you well in that endeavor. But I done talked to too many niggas with money be sad. I done talked to too many women with money and no relationship and not know what to do because they keep coming home by themselves. So you think you're gonna get a reading and I'm gonna help you attract the man. And in reference to you attracting a man, you have to forgive yourself. You have to start accepting niggas. You have to have the faith that even when you get into a relationship, you will sustain yourself through. Because it's easy to find a nigga and get into a relationship with a nigga. It's way harder to maintain and have a successful relationship with a man in this 2025. So good luck with all of that. What I'm saying is that there is no guarantees. So we thank you, Father, for your guarantee of only happy outcomes in the end. Help us not interfere and so delay the happy endings you have promised us for every problem that we can perceive, for every trial we think we must meet. The work is already done. So the 4 steps to getting a happy ending. You gotta go to the Chinese lady massage parlor. Oh, we're not talking about that type of happy endings. Oops, my bad. I got a little carried away, but let's come back to the topic. All right. A happy ending. The definition of a happy ending is achieving a harmonious and fulfilling outcome is an inner journey guided by specific principles. And these specific principles are taken from the Ten of Cups. This is the last card in the tarot deck. The last card in the tarot deck insinuates that whatever you've been through is always going to end up in a happy ending. You're going to have the husband, the wife, and the kids playing in the house on the hill, rainbow at the end of the tunnel. That is your life, unless you don't want it to be. Unless, unless, unless you want to have, a horror movie as a life. Cool. But understand we had some horrible parts, but that's not our story. Our story is how it ends. And we must believe and must know that our story will have a happy ending. Okay? So the first step of this is faithfulness. A steadfast adherence to divine principles, truth, and one's higher self. You got to be faithful to your soul. Like, she cheated on me, hood, so no, it don't matter. She cheated on you because she cheated on God. Y'all gotta be okay with letting motherfuckers go. Y'all gotta be okay with letting motherfuckers go. Negative people, angry people, disconnected people. Your life is not going to make or break on being good to these motherfuckers. Connect to the God within. Find imperfect. Well, it ain't nobody perfect, hood. Our ability to recognize the divine blueprint within all circumstances and trust in the universe's intelligent design and purpose is how we find perfection in our story, in our journey. You have this ability. You can unlock this. Harmony. Cultivating inner peace, aligning thoughts, feelings, and actions to the universal flow of divine order. So by the time your girl have told you some shit in reference to some shit that she don't like about you, it has nothing to do with you. Because within her perception building, she could have loved and forgived and loved and loved and loved and created a solution way before the negative came to the forefront. Because in reference to what you do, you might just be wanting to do that shit. You don't mean no harm in it, but it's like what you do is affecting me. Well, have it affect you differently. Because the thing about life and harmony is that if I'm singing in a D and you singing in a G, and this is the chord that we're hitting, I gotta be a G. No pun intended. And once again, harmony is not doing the same thing or doing something likable. Harmony is a point of acceptance and understanding. And a lot of times, the things that you hate is the things that actually draw you to that motherfucker. So it might be a lesson in you learning to accept that particular behavior. Because maybe that behavior is what you're attracted to that person in the first place. And of course, it's going to be a lot of different things and a lot of different ideologies that people have absorbed over the years to whereas you just got a dirty, clouded, rotten mind. It's just a whole bunch of shit that you're thinking about. Think about this, you think about that, you want to do this, you want to do that, this happened, that happened, I don't like her, she betrayed me, she cheated on me, she hurt me, she a fake friend, and all this shit. Once again, to get to a point of a happy ending, you have to cleanse the mind. One would say of limiting beliefs, negative emotions, and resistance, but I would say just bleach that whole motherfucker. Whatever meant to stay is good to keep. Whatever is gone, let it go. Because once you purify your mind, the truth is easier to suss out. You're not going to be able. Once again, people going to talk to you in a space where they just thinking about 100 different things. And once again, you're like, all right, well, what one problem can we solve? Or what do you actually want? You don't know what you want. And the reason why you don't know what you want is because you have not cleansed your mind. You have not become a new person. A new person in reference to Christ's consciousness. Christ was reborn after death. Christ went under an ego death and was resurrected. This is all symbology in reference to your mind until further notice. Right? We have been doing research on Satan's little season, and maybe Christ is real and it's a nigga that's going to come out of the sky October 29th. But like I said, 30%, like 31% thinking that we'll have an alien invasion. And indeed, it'd be a blonde, blue-eyed guy coming out of a mothership. But he cool with niggas, though. It's going to be a weird dynamic. But we'll see how it all plays out October 29th. Until then, man, look forward to the new moon video, which will be debuting on Monday. Join the Substack. Get access to the slideshow and all things discussed. Just wanted to do a quick little message. Just felt like doing a video. A lot of times I'll just check on what day we are on the Course of Miracles, do some research, and help myself, help others all at the same time. That's how I do things. You feel me? But if you haven't joined the Substack, make sure you do so. Link is in the description. Other than that, man, I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Hope you get in tune closer to the God within, and hopefully you get a happy ending as well. Peace to the tribe. Peace to the collective. I'll see you all on the flip side.